Okay, well, I guess, it always takes me a minute to warm up to the subject, so anybody who's still joining will have a chance to join in the next minute. So welcome to everyone. My name is David Fass. I've been running these monthly webinars. Some of you may have been in a previous webinar, and I'm the trainer at InetSoft, so I do these webinars. I also do full training sessions that span 3 or 5 days. But today's webinar is just going to be a half hour or maybe 45 minutes. You are all muted, so if you're trying to talk to me, I can't hear you. That's the way that GoToWebinar works by default. So if you want to contact me, there should be a question box or a chat box that you can type in, and that will pop up on my screen, and I can see your questions that way. So feel free to ask questions. Questions are helpful. And if you do have a question, just type it in either the question box or the chat box, whatever you see on your screen. Okay, so let's get going with this. Today's subject is this one, adding drill downs to a dashboard. Okay, so drill downs are pretty common because in many cases you want to present data at different levels of granularity. You might want to present some summary information such as the chart and the crosstab that you see on my screen here. And you may also want to display to the user detail data like you see on the in the table here. Now, what you could do, of course, is you can create a dashboard that contains all of that information in a single dashboard. You could have your summary chart and your summary crosstab, and also a detail table in the very same dashboard. So, in that sense, you're kind of displaying information at different levels of granularity simultaneously, and that's fine. But in many cases, what people prefer to do is they prefer to design a summary dashboard that contains only the summary information, and then the user has to do something in order to see the detail information. So you're not going to throw all the details at the user right off the bat, but rather you're going to hold it back until they want it. So the basic thrust of this class is to show you different ways of drilling down into details. And there's basically going to be three main topics. The first is to look at some of the built-in drilling features. That means drill down features that you don't have to do anything as a developer in order to use. They're just there, available for the user. And then we'll look at what I'm going to call add-on drill downs. So these are a couple features. We've actually covered them in previous sessions, but since not everybody may have been here for the previous sessions, I'll point out a couple of the add-on drill down methods, such as flyover and data tip. And then we'll look at the concept of a traditional hyperlink. A traditional hyperlink is where you have a link on one dashboard, and when the user presses that link, they're actually transported to a completely different dashboard that contains different information. So that's kind of the traditional drill down method, where you click a link and it takes you to a different asset, a different dashboard containing the desired data. So let's jump right into it. I have my server running here somewhere. Let me close that. Get back to the server. Okay, so I've got my portal up and running, and I'm going to find a dashboard that I previously made, so we can start off working with something here. And this dashboard was called Drill Example. So it's just a basic dashboard. There's a chart, there's a crosstab, there's a table, and there's a range slider. So this is very simple. Creating all of these things we covered in previous sessions. So if you do have questions about, how do you make a chart or how do you make a table, I'd recommend just looking back. All of the previous webinars are on YouTube, so you can just, when we send out the link to this video that I'm recording right now, you can just take a look at that link, and it'll, right there in the same, I guess, repository or whatever will be other videos from the series. So, so any of those issues, just feel free to look back at the old videos. Okay, now first of all we're going to look at what we're calling a built-in drill down features. So let's take a look at these real quick. So I'm going to preview this dashboard just so I can look at it as a user would be looking at it. And the first areas that I want to look at are the concept of the automatic drill down feature in a crosstab and in a chart. All right, so in this chart what we have here are breakout by year, right, on the x-axis. Now what if I wanted to drill down to the quarter level or to the month level? Well, that feature is actually built in, and you can see that in this chart next to these, next to the x-axis, there's a little plus button. And if you click that little plus button, that will automatically drill you down to further levels of the date field. So here now I'm looking at the quarter data. I can click it again, drill down to the month data, and so on. So this is a built-in drill feature for charts that allows you to drill down to different levels of granularity, and it's automatic for a date field. Okay, so that's number one. If you want to drill back up, you can press the minus button up here. It takes you back to the original view. A very similar thing exists for a crosstab, right? So here we have a crosstab down at the bottom. Again, it's broken out by year and by category. And when you have a date field, you can take advantage of the automatic drill down feature. So if you want to break out the year 2012 into individual quarters, you can press the plus button there, and then that will expand the year 2012 into its 4 quarters. And let's say you wanted then to drill down into the second quarter of 2012, you can press the drill down button there, and now it's broken out by month, right? The 3 months in the second quarter of 2012. So these are automatic drill down features. They're very handy. They're available for free. Right? You don't, as a developer, you don't have to do anything. They're just there. Okay, now you do have some control also over this kind of drilling, right? So, for example, we've got this category field here, right? So let's say that I wanted a user to be able to drill down into the category and drill down to the product level so that they could break it out by individual product. Now that's not available automatically here, right? Because that would be a bit presumptuous on the part of the dashboard to try to assume what you want to do in terms of drilling. But you can set it up so that you'll find these automatic drill feature available also on these categories. So let me just show you how that can be arranged. I'll go back to the design view over here. And then what I want to do is I just want to set up a hierarchy on this table. So I right-click on the crosstab, go to Properties for the crosstab, and in the crosstab properties there's this hierarchy tab, and this allows me to configure drill down hierarchies. One thing that I could do here is if I wanted to have this drill down on the date field, but I wanted to control it more, for example, only to allow drilling from, let's say, the year level to the month level, then what I can do is I can manually set that up by adding the date field twice. And it goes, you can see that automatically it picks the grouping, but you can change that down here. So if you wanted to manually control the levels that the user can drill to, you can do it like this. So what this means now is if we were to leave this in place, then when the user clicks on that little plus symbol on any of these column headers, they can drill down only to the quarter, from the year to the quarter, but no further, because that's the hierarchy that you've set up explicitly here. Okay, but that's not what we want to do in this case. What I want to do is I want to create a drill on the category field. So the procedure is the same. I'm going to grab the category field and then the product name field, right? And I'm going to add that to the same hierarchy. So now I've created a hierarchy that goes from product category to product name, and this will enable that automatic drill down feature to be available for the category field here also. So let's test that out. Press OK, and then we'll do a new preview. This updates, and what you'll see now is that in the category field here, the row headers, I've got this little plus symbol, and if I click the plus symbol, it drills me down to the individual products in that category. Right, so this is a way to leverage the automatic drill feature even for fields where it doesn't exist by default. Right? By default, it only exists for date fields, but you can leverage the same technology for any other field as long as you explicitly set up the hierarchy yourself. Okay, so those are a couple of ideas for drill downs that are very easy. In fact, in most cases, you don't have to do anything to allow a user to be able to do those. Okay, let's take a look at another thing that that users have at their disposal in terms of drilling down into details, and that is the Show Details option. So if I go up to this chart here and I select a data point on the chart, right, that's 2013, right, so this data point represents the summed product total sales for the year 2013, and let's say that I want to see the details, in other words, all of the individual records, all the individual sales from 2013. Well, there is actually a button up here at the top of the chart that will do that for me. Let's see if I can find the right one. It's this one here, Show Details. And if you click that button, what it will do is it will open up a panel on the bottom, right? And so a user can do this. They can click Show Details, and then that gives them all of the details, all of the individual records that make up that data point on the chart. Right? So this is another kind of free way that you can give users access to detailed data based on summary data, right? And it's there by default. You don't have to do anything as a developer. User can just select a group of points. It could be more than one point. So select any groups on the chart and then press Show Details, and they'll see the detail information. Same thing for a crosstab. If you wanted, for example, to look at the detail records for the sales of games in 2013, you can click on that intersection, 2013 and games. That selects that group. And if you want to see all the records that went into making up that total, all the sales, again, you can press the Show Details button, and same thing, you get this panel that shows the user the details that go into that group, right? All the individual records that are in that group. Now, sometimes you may want to apply some formatting to this preview, to this Show Details. In other words, you may want the product total here to appear with a certain format, or you might want I don't know, you might want the order number to appear or the date with a certain format, and you can actually do that. If you go back to the design view, right, so I close the preview and now I'm back in the design view, right, you can do the same thing here. You can select, for example, select a point and press Show Details, right? So this is just like what we did in the preview a moment ago, except now I'm in the design view. And in the design view, you can apply formatting, right? So let's just pick an example here. Let's say that I wanted to format the dates in a different way, so I can right-click on the date column, select Format, right, and then choose some other date format that tickles my fancy, whatever that might be. So I'm setting some other date format, and that will format those dates in the Show Details panel, right? And so if I go ahead and save this, and then if I deploy this dashboard or preview the dashboard, when the user selects Show Details on this chart, they're going to see that column displayed with that format. So that's how you can format these detail records here. And you can also choose to hide columns. So let's say you didn't want the user to be overwhelmed with 100 columns of data. You can pick and choose what columns are going to be displayed by selecting Hide Column. And if you hide one or more columns, then when the user clicks Show Details in the portal, they're not going to see those columns. Okay, so that basically summarizes the kind of the freebie methods of drill down, right? So those are all things that you get for free. You don't really have to do anything as a developer. They're just available to end users. Okay, let's take a look now at, and if there's any questions on any of that, feel free to ask. Let's move on to what I'm going to call the add-on drill downs. Right? So these are a couple of techniques that you can use to make the dashboard more interactive by allowing the user to drill into data. So the two techniques that I'm going to show you are called flyover and data tip. So first of all, flyover. Flyover means basically that when you point at a particular group or click on a particular group on a chart or in a crosstab, that some other element, for example, this table here, will update to show only the details for that group. Right? So right now, this table is this detail table that I have here is basically showing me all of the data. But what I can do to make that more useful is to basically sync this table with the group that I point at on the chart. So let's see how to do that. I'm going to right-click on the chart, and then select Properties. And one of the properties that you have on the General panel for a chart is this flyover view. And what you can do is just select the element that you want to respond to the flyover. In that case, it's this table. It's called Table View 1. So that I want to be the target of the flyover. You can select on-click only if you want the flyover to occur only when the user clicks. Otherwise, it's when the user hovers the mouse. And that's it. Right, and so now I'll do a preview here. And if I move the mouse over a point, did it up? Yeah, it did update. I didn't see it update. But if I move the mouse over a point on the chart, you'll see that the table over to the right updates. And I can click on that point, and it will lock the table to that, basically to that group. Right? So that group in this case is the group 2012. And I could do the same thing for the crosstab as well. So I can make the crosstab also activate a flyover for this guy. So I'm going to right-click on the crosstab. The procedure is the same. All right. In this case, it's under the Advanced tab. And for flyover view again, I'll select Table View 1. Let me turn it off for the chart just so we don't get confused here. Okay. So now I've set the crosstab to automatically create a flyover in the table. And you can see that the result is basically the same. It works in the design view also, but here we'll test it out in the preview. And if I fly over a group on the crosstab, you'll notice that the table on the right automatically updates and shows me only details for that group. All right, so this is another method of providing a drill down feature for users, enabling them to see details for a particular group that they click on. Okay, let's take a look at the other technique, the other add-on technique for drill down, and that is the concept of a data tip. Now, a data tip may be useful when you don't want the detail information to actually be displayed simultaneously with the summary information. So let's say you were in a situation where you had, you had a very crowded dashboard, and you wanted to include some, something like this, where the user could, view details for a particular group, but you don't have the space to put this table on the dashboard itself. So what you can do is use a data tip. So let's take a look at how that would work. Okay, so again, I'll just work with the crosstab here. I think it's available for crosstab. I guess we'll find out. So I'm going to right-click on the crosstab, select Properties, turn off the clear the flyover view, and instead I'm going to use data tip view. Right, so select data tip view and then select the target of the data tip. So I'm going to use that Table View 1 table as my data tip for the crosstab. Right, let's see what happens. Right, so it's not evident in the design view that anything has happened at all, but if we go ahead and take a look at the preview, then the first thing you'll notice is that the detail table is no longer displayed. Right? So whenever you designate an element as a data tip element, that element is not displayed in the dashboard. However, if you hover the mouse over a group on the crosstab, then the table is displayed. Right? So this is the concept of a data tip, which I think we looked at in a previous session. But basically, it's a way of displaying an element in place of a tooltip. And in this case, what we're displaying in place of the tooltip for the crosstab is the detail table. Right? And you can actually scroll through the details. And this is another way that you can provide a user with access to both summary and detail information without filling up your dashboard with a whole detail table. Okay, so those are what I'm calling the add-on drill down methods, and what we'll look at finally is the more traditional type of drill down, where basically you click on a link, and that link takes you to a different dashboard, not the same dashboard, but a different dashboard, and that new dashboard displays the details. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so for that purpose, what I've done here, let me see. Yeah, okay. So what I've done is I actually prepared another dashboard. So that will be our essentially our drill down dashboard. So let me just find that one. Pardon me. And I called that one, I think I called it order details. Okay, now this order details dashboard expects a parameter. I'm not going to supply one right now, but I'll show you why it expects a parameter in just a moment. So press OK. And this detail dashboard is very, very simple. It's just a detail table, right? And my idea that I'm working towards here is I want the user to be able to, in the summary dashboard, I want the user to be able to click on a product. I click on a product name. And when they click on a product name, I want to take them to this detail table that will show them all of the sales for that product in that year. Right? So a completely separate dashboard that's going to display the details. Okay, so now where does that parameter come in? Well, if I want this table to display only records that meet some criteria, then what I have to do is set a condition on this table. So again, here I am in my detail report, my detail dashboard, and if I take a look at this table and select condition, you can see that I have a condition on this table. And basically the condition is that I want to see in this table only records where the product name is equal to some product that will be supplied by the user. Right, so this is why when I opened this dashboard, why I was prompted to enter a product name. It's because of this condition. Right? So when this dashboard opens, it asks for a product name, and then once you give it a product name, it filters this table. Now, the way this is going to work is when we set up the hyperlink, we don't want to prompt the user to enter a product name. Rather, we want the user to click on a product in that summary dashboard, and we want the value that the user clicks on to be passed into this condition. All right, so if we can somehow achieve that, let's say the user clicks on the product called Fast Go Game. Right, so what I want to do is I want that that name, Fast Go Game, to be passed into this condition. So the condition will read product name is equal to Fast Go Game, and then the table will be filtered to display Fast Go Game. Right, so so you can see that we have the condition already in place. We just need to figure out how to pass the value that the user clicks on into this drill down dashboard. Right, so let's take a look at that. And so what I want to do is I want to put a hyperlink on the product name here. Okay, so and I can do this on any of the product names. So I'm going to right click and select hyperlink. Okay, and this is the hyperlink dialog box. So this is how you set up this kind of traditional drill down. If you want to drill from one dashboard to another dashboard, you select the asset link option, and then you choose the dashboard that you want to drill to. Right? So that the dashboard that we're drilling to is called order details. Okay, that's the dashboard that we were just looking at a moment ago over here. Okay, so we want to drill down to the order details dashboard, and I can enter a tooltip here, such as go to order details. And I'll come back to these options over here in a moment, but the heart of this hyperlink is that you need to specify when the user clicks that link what value gets passed into what parameter in the drill down report. So I'm going to press the add button here, and if you look over here, you can see that it's aware, this dialog box is aware that the drill down dashboard that I selected, order details, expects a parameter called product. Now, if that drill down dashboard had multiple conditions, in other words, multiple parameterized conditions, then you would see a list here of all of the parameters that are available in that drill down dashboard. So in this case, our drill down dashboard only expects one parameter, which is the product name, and so that's the variable, that's the parameter that we want to pass this clicked value into, and then we can just select from over here the actual value that we want to pass. Right? So when the user clicks the hyperlink, what are we going to pass? Pass the category or pass the product name? We want to pass the product name. So when the user clicks on the hyperlink on a product, we want to pass the product name into the parameter called product in the drill down dashboard. Okay, so this is how you set up this kind of traditional hyperlink. Let's see how it works in action. Press OK, save this, and then I'll go ahead and do a new preview. Do a fresh preview over here. Now I still have that data tip there that I don't really need anymore, so I'm going to I'm just going to go back and turn off that data tip. Okay, and then refresh this guy. Okay, so the data tip is gone, but what I want to test out is this traditional drill down hyperlink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now here I am in the preview, right? So this is as a user would see it. If I move the mouse over any of these products, right, you can see that they're underlined, they're hyperlinked, and if I click on, let's say, Learn ABC, it gives me a little menu here. The first item in the menu is this tooltip that I made called Go to Order Details. The second item in the menu says Google, and that's actually a hyperlink that was put on by the designer of the data source. So you can also assign drill down hyperlinks to a data source. So that was kind of there before we even began. But the one that we just created a moment ago is this one, Go to Order Details. And what I expect this to do, when I click on it, I expect it to take me to that Order Details dashboard and also pass the name of this product into the product parameter in that dashboard. Well, let's see if it works. So I clicked on Learn ABC, and that takes me to the drill down dashboard. And you can see that this drill down dashboard is now giving me the details only for that one product. So that's a very traditional kind of drill down where you drill from one dashboard to another dashboard, from summary level to detail level. Okay, let's just take a look at some variations on this idea. Let me see, what did I want to do here? Yeah, let's take a look at a variation, and the variation here is, well, first of all, in this case, if you are providing this kind of drill down, you may wonder, you know, why then have this detail table on the summary dashboard? And of course, if you're implementing a drill down in this way, then you wouldn't have this here, right? It wouldn't make sense. So you could delete that table, right? And then you have a purely summary dashboard, and then that makes a lot more sense, right? So the user is using this summary dashboard, and if they want to drill down, then they can click on one of the products and select Go to Order Details, and that will take them to the detail data. Okay, now here's a bit of a dilemma. Let's say that in the summary dashboard, let's say that the user had made some adjustment to this range slider. Right, so the user adjusts the range slider. Right, so let's say they're looking just at the year 2012. Let's see if I could do that. It's actually just, let's say, January, February 2012. Right, so they're looking at a very narrow range of dates. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that if I follow this hyperlink here, I click on, let's say, Math for Me, and select Go to Order Details, right? And if you look at the dates here for the detail information, right, so the product is correct, right? It's showing me only the detail records for that particular product that I clicked on, but the dates are the entire data set, right? So I have the entire range of dates here, right? Now, in some cases, that may be fine. In other cases, it might be confusing because the user thought, right, they thought that they were looking at 2 months of 2012, but then when they go to the details, they're all of a sudden looking at, 2014, 2013, right? So that might have them scratching their head. What you can do, though, to address that is when the user presses the hyperlink, you can pass along in the hyperlink the value that they've selected in the range slider. And this is true for other selection components as well. So if you have, let's say, selection lists or selection trees and so on in a summary dashboard, and you want to pass the information, the selections in those filters to the drill down dashboard, just like we're going to do now. You can do that in the way we're going to show. So first of all, I made sure to give this slider a meaningful name. I called it date slider, right? And I need to remember that, right? Because that's the parameter that's going to be passed. It uses that name of the component. Okay, and then what I need to do is I need to go back to where I set up the hyperlink. So I'm going to go back to the crosstab here, select hyperlink. This is where I originally set up that hyperlink. And what I want to enable here is send selections as parameters. Right, what that means is that when the user clicks the hyperlink, any selection elements in the dashboard are going to have their values passed in the hyperlink to the drill down dashboard. Right? Now, how does the drill down dashboard know what to do with those parameters, right? So if I select this, then what it means is that when the user clicks that hyperlink, it's going to pass the start date and the end date that the user has selected in the range slider, in addition to the product that the user has clicked on. But how does the drill down dashboard know what to do with that? And the answer is it doesn't. You have to tell it what to do with that. So all that you're doing by selecting this option here is you're just telling it to pass the value of that range slider in the hyperlink. But we're going to have to do a little bit of work on the other end to make sure that we grab that value and use it in an appropriate way. So the first step here is send selections as parameters. Click OK, and I'll save that. And now I need to deal with the other end of this, which is in my drill down report. Because what I want is I want this detail table to be filtered also on date. Right? And so now I know, because we just set up past selections as parameters, that when the user clicks the link, this drill down dashboard is going to be getting the start date and the end date from that range slider. But if we want it to apply to the table, then we have to build it into the condition. So I'm going to, this is a preview. Let me find the original. Order details. Okay, so here's my design view for order details. And what I want to do here is I want to amend the condition so that the condition also filters the dates. Right? So I'm going to right-click on this, select condition, and I'm just going to add another part to this condition, and this second part will be order date is between. And then I'm going to set these to expression. Right? So order date is between two dates. The question is what dates? Well, I know that those are being given to me by the range slider, and to access those values, you do like this. Right? Use a parameter keyword, then a dot, and then the name of the range slider. Right? If you'll recall, I had named that range slider date slider, right? And then start or end, underscore start or end. So this is the syntax that allows me to catch the parameter value from the range slider that's being passed into the drill down dashboard. This will give me that start value, and if I just make a slight change over there, just change the ending to end, that will give me the end date on the range slider. So this is another part of this condition I'm going to add. Press insert. So now this is a two-part condition. One part of it is filtering the product names, and the other part of it is filtering the dates based on the parameters that are being passed in from the summary dashboard. Okay, so I hope that that makes sense. Again, the reason we have to do this is that if we don't do this, then there's not going to be any filtering of this detail table. We're just going to see all the dates. So somehow we have to filter on dates, and somehow our filtering condition needs to access the values that the user has set in the summary dashboard, the values of the range slider, and this is how you grab those values. Parameter dot, the name of the component, date slider, underscore start, and underscore end. Okay, so there's that condition, and let's go ahead and test out if it works. Don't worry about the fact that there's no data there right now. So I'm going to save this drill down dashboard, and then I'm going to go and test out my my summary dashboard again. I'll do a fresh preview. So here's my summary dashboard, and now what I want to do is I want to test out that if I make a selection on this range slider, that selection will be honored also in the drill down report. So here we go. I'm going to set, let's say, just like I did before, what did I do? I did January and February 2012. Right, January 20 or February 2012. Whoops. That's odd. I think this build that I'm using for this training may have had a bug in it. Well, I'm going to preview it again. Okay, so yeah, so I'm making this. Why is it doing that? Okay, bear with me a moment. I'm just going to close this and reopen it. This is a pretty early build of version 12, and it may have been from before the release. So let's get back over here. Okay, what I wanted to do is I wanted to test this out now, so I'm going to, again, preview it and make my setting here, January, February 2012. Okay, and now I want to see what's going to happen if I click on one of these hyperlinks. All right, so again, I'll click on the Learn ABC hyperlink and click Go to Order Details. And what you'll see now is that this detail table, yes, it shows me only the records for the product that I clicked, but also it's showing me only dates from that range slider. So this is one way when you're drilling down from a summary dashboard to a detailed dashboard and you need to pass the values of the selection elements. This is one way to do it. So again, it's basically you do it by setting up a condition on the detail table, on the detail dashboard, and the other part of it is over here is that you specify that you want to send selections as parameters. So that's the whole trick there. Okay, well let's wrap up with one other variation on this, and then I'll take any questions. Let's see if there's another way to achieve the same thing. Right, and something that kind of goes back to what we did last week when we were talking about modular dashboards. So I'm going to turn this feature off. Right, I'm going to turn off send selections as parameters and save that. And I'm also going to go over here and I'm going, oops, that's the preview again. And go back to my order details dashboard. And over here I'm going to disable that second part of the condition. Okay, so I want to get rid of this date slider part of the condition, so I'll just delete that clause. And that takes me back to the original condition, which just filters it based on product. Okay. So now we're back to our original situation where when you click on the hyperlink, this table shows you records only for the product that you click, but from all dates. So what is another method that I could use to restrict the dates to match the dates in this range slider in the summary dashboard? Well, we can go back to what we did last week where we set up shared filters, right? This is when you're building a modular dashboard, often you will set up shared filters which synchronizes selection elements with one another. If you have multiple selection elements and you want them to be synchronized, you set up a shared filter, and that's basically what we want here, right? So let's say that I had a similar range slider in my drill down dashboard, right? So let me add one. Find the order date field, and there it is. Okay, so here's a range slider, and this range slider will control the dates in that table. Right? If I can actually grab there it is. All right, so when I move this range slider, you can see that the data in the table is updating. So this range slider affects this detail table. Now, if there were some way that I could synchronize this range slider with the range slider in the summary dashboard, then basically I'd be 90% of the way there. And in fact, that's easy to do. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a shared filter. And you do that by going up to the Options button. Now I'm in the summary dashboard, so go up to Options and go to Filters. And then there's only one available filter in this dashboard. There's only one selection element. And I'm going to give it an ID. The meaningful ID, whoops. I'll just call it date. No, not state. Date. Okay. Right, the ID is the key thing here because the ID is what's used to match with another selection element. So I want to remember what ID I gave this one. And I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to go to my drill down dashboard where I have the other range slider. Go to options here. And over here, I'm going to give that the same ID, date. Okay. So this, the range slider in the drill down dashboard has the ID date. Same thing for the summary dashboard. And that will synchronize those two range sliders. So I'm going to save this. And then we'll do another, let's preview this guy again. Okay, and so let's try that link again. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'll click on, let's say, Math for Me. Right, go to Order Details. Oh, wait, first of all, let me actually set a range. So again, I'll set just January, February 2012. Right, and then click on Math for Me, click on that hyperlink. And what you can see is that in the drill down dashboard, the range slider then basically got synced with the range slider in the summary report so that this is now showing me only data from January and February of 2012. Right? So that's another way to handle the situation where you want to pass along selection values from a summary dashboard to a detailed dashboard. And in this case, we've done it by using shared filters. Now, there's one last thing that might be a little bit bothersome to some, and that is that you might not want this here, right? So if it's clear enough to the user that, based on the context, that when they click on the hyperlink, they're going to be looking only at the dates that they selected here, then it might not be necessary to, again, show them the dates that they selected here. So what you can do is you can just hide this, this component, right? I can go back into the design view here and just say that for this range slider here, I just want that to be invisible. Right, so I'm just going to set the visibility to hide, okay, and then save this. And then that will be hidden, although it will still be functional. Right, so now if I do this again, and let's say I choose some other dates, let's say 2013, right, January to February 2013, right, and then I go ahead and look for the Math for Me product. When the detail dashboard loads up, you can see that it is being filtered, right? Because we have those two range sliders synchronized. We have the shared filter in place, but that range slider is not displayed in the detail report. Right? So that's so these are two different ways to handle these kinds of traditional hyperlinks, right? The first way is well, they both involve setting up the hyperlink, right? So in both cases, we're using this hyperlink feature to define the hyperlinks on the field that we want to hyperlink. But in the first instance, we used this option here, send selections as parameters, to pass along the values of selection elements. And in the second case, we instead of using this, we use the shared filter feature. The last thing that I'm going to mention before I take questions is just this other option here called disable parameter prompt. I'm sorry, not well. That one is fine. And if there were if the detail dashboard for some reason were displaying a parameter prompt because it expected other parameters, you could suppress that by doing this. But I wanted to draw your attention to this one: send viewsheet parameters. Basically, what this does is if the summary dashboard has some other parameters defined in it, right? So let's say there were some input components in the summary dashboard where the user made various choices, choices that you might want to pass down to the detail level dashboard, then you can send those along by leaving that enabled. It's enabled by default. So basically any parameters that exist in the summary level dashboard will be automatically passed, as long as that's turned on, automatically passed along with the hyperlink into the drill down dashboard. Okay, well that's all I'm going to say. Feels like that was probably a lot of information. So, so let me stop here and I'll take any questions that anybody has. You can type your question into the question box or the chat box. Okay, well, are there no questions? Okay, I'll wait another minute, but for those of you who want to get on with other things, thank you very much for joining, and we'll be doing it again next month, and then we'll probably have a new series of these starting next year. I'm going to come up with some more topics, but thanks very much for joining, and have a nice weekend, everyone. I'll stay online for another minute just in case anybody's slowly typing. Oh, and there it is. Nope, just a thank you. You're welcome. Have a nice weekend. I'll just wait another 20 seconds. See if anybody has any last parting shots. Doesn't look like it. If anybody thinks of a question that they wish they had asked after we're done, you can always send it to me via email. Happy to answer questions. My email is david.fass, F-A-S-S, at InetSoft.com. So feel free to email. You can ask me questions about about anything that we covered here or in previous months' webinars. Okay, have a nice weekend, everybody, and hopefully see you back next month.